Today's successful and growing social businesses or social business enterprises have one thing in common. They all have engaged, happy, contributing workforces. And those contributing workforces are people who are engaged with their work. They love their jobs. They enjoy collaborating. And they are engaged around what we call the intrinsic motivators that really matter. I think it's fair to say that for many, many years, most people at work were not engaged around intrinsic motivators. We were engaged or hired and engaged around what's called extrinsic motivators. So extrinsic motivators are things like money, the tools to do the job, clarity around your work, and the processes, computers, maybe a car, company car, that kind of stuff. All those things are important, but they are not the deepest level of meaningful or meaningfulness at work. And interestingly, we live in an age now where the social conversation around work and business, social digital technologies are allowing people to collaborate. Big buzzword now, to innovate, ideation platforms. These are all assuming that the people have a need to do good. The word good, Greek word, comes from the Greek word axios again, means value, customer value, also the word kindness. They're all coming from this same word axios, which also is the root of the word axle, which is the pivot on which all things revolve, or in a wheel, for example. So it's pretty important. And what we now know is that the people who are engaged at work, those who are contributing, are at the heart of a growing social business, and these people are engaged intrinsically. Intrinsically means from deep within inside, not external. Clay Shirky has written a fantastic book on social business called Cognitive Surplus. And in there, he points out that the best of social media and social business practice is seeing people collaborate and are drawn to collaborate and to engage with each other, doing good stuff in positive ways with positive outcomes and good experiences. Not bad ones like cyberbullying, for example, because they're engaged intrinsically, meaning inside out. The whole focus of the modern strengths movement, appreciative inquiry with whole group, positive discovery of positive in organisations, what works, extending that for innovation and for lifting the capacity of organisations. Sengelman with positive psychology, and get up with the research around strengths. The Business DNA guys, Lee Ellis, who's developed what I think is the world's best natural talents profiling system that I've ever seen. His experience as a fighter pilot in Vietnam and training the world's top fighter pilots to identify that people are wired differently. And so bringing the ability to be able to engage that difference. And that difference, that wideness, is something that's innate. Again, there's that inness again. So what we're now seeing is that the best of social practice is about inness. That is, first of all, discovering who we are and what we care about. So Shirky's model, which I think is brilliant, talks about the fact that if you want to get the best out of social, you develop what I call a positive social business culture, where people are engaged intrinsically, where there is a balance between the intrinsic needs of the individual and the intrinsic needs of the group. Isn't that interesting? Intrinsic needs of the individual are two things. One, competence, a need to get better at something. That mirrors Daniel Pink's idea about mastery. And the other is the need for autonomy, the need to be able to make decisions, to make choices, about what you do on social, how you work, what you decide to look at, and of course the ability to be able to own something, which is to be able to post topics or discussions, or to be able to initiate things, stuff that the Industrial Revolution took out of our work. It took the craft out of our work. Social has the opportunity to bring the craft back into our work as an individual, but also as a group. So what it also does is, as Shirky points out, is to restore community, where the best of community on social is doing extraordinary things for society, what we call social good. And social business, by the way, doesn't just mean a not-for-profit. Social business is the new term to describe any business that is in sync with its ecosystem, collaborating with its ecosystem from the heart in order to do practical good for people with your hands and your ability to think and to create. So these things become really important now. Interestingly, the second set of intrinsic motivators, the group intrinsic motivators that Shirky talks about. So you've got the individual motivators around the need for competence and the need for autonomy. And you've got the group intrinsic motivators, which also within the individual, that is the need to feel that you are a member. That's that community stuff. So the best organisations now who are using the power of digital tools, working with companies like, for example, our colleagues in Digital Kinship Enterprise, who are doing some of the best work in Australia and internationally now around building kind and innovative social business networks. They're taking time to unpack these intrinsic motivators. Why? And as Mike Green, the CEO of Kinship, says, well, it's not about the technology, it's not about the how, it's not about the what. It's all there. The best is there, but the first question is why? Why do this? And also tied up with why or who are we and what do we care about? And that is an individual conversation, but it's also ultimately a group conversation. So the Gallup research shows that the most engaged people talk about how can we grow together. But in order to grow, you first need to feel part of a member. So intrinsic motivation is also about the individual, but it's about the group. How do I feel that I'm a member of a group that believes what I believe, that cares about what I care about, that takes the time to appreciate me as an individual, and in turn I do the same for them, and then asks how can we collaborate and how can we have an authentic conversation and relationship that will just allow us to do the most amazing things. And the last intrinsic motivator is generosity. Isn't that interesting? Every piece of research I see now, from Tom Peters on that extraordinary video of his around kindness in an American hospital as being more important than outcomes. The Gallup research, the highest level of engagement shows people want giving more than getting. Our own work, the emotional economy, work with over 1,000 appreciative inquiry summits and conversations now around asking people what leads to their happiness at work. When have they been most happy or happiest? When have you seen the best outcomes? Always comes back to this idea of generosity or kindness, the ability to give, to leave a legacy, to feel you're contributing. So in a nutshell, what we're doing here now is exploring, as part of our work in the emotional economy of work, what it means to build a happy workforce. And so we've got the tools now, and we put that in workshops around working using appreciative inquiry and the DNA, natural talent behaviour, and the social business technologies from Kinship, and their wonderful frameworks around ESNs. Bringing that together now, packaging in ways in which we can see the best of the intrinsic motivations of the human heart, released through developing a social business culture, aligned to these amazing digital platforms now, connected to a purpose, a why, so that we can see the kind of engagement and the kind of capacity in organisations to tackle world issues, the like of which we've not seen before, certainly in my lifetime.